The air in Lagos was thick with the scent of rain-soaked earth and diesel fumes, a familiar cocktail for Adaora as she pushed her mop across the polished tiles of Apex Tech's lobby. At 24, her life was a far cry from the one she'd imagined. Once the star of her university's business department, she'd been the girl with a notebook full of dreams, sketches of startups, flowcharts for supply chains, and a vision to build a cleaning empire that respected its workers. But life had other plans. Her father, a janitor himself, died in a factory accident 2 years ago, leaving her to care for her ailing mother. University became a memory, replaced by a blue uniform and a mop. Adaora's hands, calloused but steady, gripped the mop handle as she worked the midnight shift. The office was quiet, save for the hum of fluorescent lights and the occasional clack of a keyboard from a late-night coder. She kept her head down, her braided hair tucked under a cap, her dreams folded neatly into the pocket of her uniform, a tattered notebook she carried everywhere. "Still scribbling in that thing?" her co-worker Mama Tolu asked, leaning on her broom. Tolu was a wiry woman in her 50s, with a laugh that could cut through the gloom of their job. Adaora smiled faintly, wiping sweat from her brow. "Gotta keep the ideas alive, Mama. One day, they'll be more than scribbles." Tolu chuckled, shaking her head. "You and your big dreams, Adaora. Just don't let them make you forget how to sleep." They shared a laugh, but it faded when Adaora's phone buzzed in her pocket. A message from her mother's nurse. "Mama's coughing again. Need more medicine. Can you send 5,000 naira?" Adaora's heart sank. Her paycheck was already stretched thin, rent, food, and now this. She typed back, "I'll send it tomorrow," and slipped the phone away, her jaw tight. As she mopped, memories of university flickered. She'd been the girl everyone admired, top of her class, always raising her hand with answers that made professors nod. Chuka Obi, a charming classmate with a quick smile, had flirted with her back then, slipping notes into her books. "You're going places, Adaora," he'd said once, his eyes warm. Now, he worked in HR at Apex Tech, strutting past her in tailored suits, his gaze sliding over her like she was part of the furniture. The humiliation stung, but she swallowed it. She had no time for resentment, not when her mother needed her. Adaora paused, catching her reflection in the glass door. The uniform hung loose on her frame, the blue fabric faded from too many washes. But her eyes burned with something unyielding. She wasn't broken. Not yet. The rain came down in sheets the next morning, drumming against the Apex Tech lobby's glass walls. Adaora was on her knees, scrubbing a coffee stain from the tiles, when the revolving doors spun open. Chuka strode in, flanked by 2 friends in crisp shirts, their laughter bouncing off the walls. She recognized one, Emeka, another former classmate. The other was a stranger, phone already out, filming the lobby like it was a tourist attraction. Adaora kept her head down, her mop moving in steady arcs. Maybe they wouldn't notice her. Maybe. "Yo, is that Adaora?" Chuka's voice cut through the air, sharp and mocking. She froze, her grip tightening on the mop. Emeka snorted. "No way. The bookworm? Cleaning floors." Chuka stepped closer, his polished shoes inches from her bucket. "From bookworm to broom girl," he said, loud enough for the security guard to glance over. "What happened, Adaora? Couldn't hack it in the real world." Her cheeks burned, but she didn't look up. She pushed the mop, focusing on the wet streaks it left behind. "Just keep working. Don't give him the satisfaction." "Look at her, acting like she can't hear me," Chuka said, his voice dripping with glee. His friends laughed, the phone's red recording light glaring in her peripheral vision. "Hey, Adaora, smile for the camera. You're a star now." She stood slowly, her back aching, and faced him. His smirk faltered for a split second, but he recovered, leaning in. "What? No comeback? No big words from the class genius?" "Leave her alone, Chuka," the security guard, Mr. Bayo, called from his desk. "She's working." Chuka waved him off. "Relax, old man. Just catching up with an old friend." Then, as if to prove a point, he spat, a deliberate, wet glob that landed on her uniform, staining the blue fabric dark. Clean that up too, he said, turning away. His friends howled, the phone still rolling as they walked toward the elevators. Adaora stood rooted, her breath shallow. The guard hurried over, his face creased with anger. Those boys are animals. You okay, Adaora? She nodded, though her hands trembled as she wiped the spit with a rag. I'm fine, she lied, her voice steady but low. Inside something snapped, not into pieces, but into focus. The humiliation wasn't new, but this was a line crossed. By noon, the video was everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, WhatsApp groups. The caption read, "Once a nerd, now a nobody." #broomgirl, her name trended, each notification a needle in her chest. She sat in the break room, staring at her phone, watching the views climb. Comments poured in. LMAO, she thought she was better than us. From A's to mops, what a fall. Mama Tolu found her there, her eyes soft with concern. Don't let those fools dim your light, Adaora. They're small people with big mouths. Adaora saved the video to her phone. I'm not crying, Mama, she said, her voice like steel. I'm planning. Tolu raised an eyebrow. Planning what? Adaora's lips curved, not quite a smile. To make them choke on their own laughter. At home, in a cramped one-room apartment in Surulere, Adaora scrubbed her uniform in a plastic basin. The spit stain was gone, but the memory clung like damp rot. Her mother, Neka, lay on a thin mattress in the corner, her coughs rattling the silence. A fan whirred uselessly against the heat. You're quiet tonight, Neka said, her voice frail but sharp. What happened? Nothing, Mama, Adaora replied, wringing out the uniform. She hung it on a line strung across the room, the blue fabric swaying like a flag of surrender. But she wasn't surrendering. Neka's eyes narrowed. You're my daughter. I know when you're carrying something heavy. Adaora knelt beside her, forcing a smile. Just work. Long day. Her mother reached for her hand, her fingers bony but warm. You're stronger than you know, Adaora. Your father always said so. The words hit hard. Her father had been her biggest cheerleader, slipping her coins for books, telling her she'd run a company one day. She missed him fiercely. After Neka drifted to sleep, Adaora pulled out her notebook, its pages creased and ink-smudged. She flipped past old business plans, logistics models, marketing ideas, cleaning service proposals. The title on the first page read Someday. She stared at it, then grabbed a pen and crossed it out, writing today in bold strokes. She opened her laptop, a second-hand relic that took 5 minutes to boot. The internet was slow, but she didn't care. She searched for free business courses, government grants, and online tools. By 2 a.m., she'd registered a business name, Shine Pro Facilities. It cost her last 3,000 naira, but it felt like planting a seed. She leaned back, staring at the ceiling. Chuka's spit wasn't just an insult, it was a spark. She wouldn't let it burn her. It would fuel her. The next morning, she called Ifeoma, her childhood friend who'd been laid off from a retail job. Ifeoma, you free today? Free as a bird with no wings, Ifeoma said, her voice dry. Why? I'm starting a cleaning company. You in? Ifeoma laughed. You're serious? With what money? With what we've got, Adaora said. Sweat and stubbornness. Meet me at Mr. Okon's shop this afternoon. Mr. Okon's printing shop was a dusty corner store in Yaba, its walls stained with ink and neglect. Adaora and Ifeoma stood outside, armed with a borrowed mop, a bucket, and a bag of cleaning supplies bought with Adaora's last paycheck. Mr. Okon, a wiry man with graying hair, had been her father's friend. When she'd called, offering to clean his shop for free, he'd chuckled. Your papa's daughter, always scheming. All right, let's see what you've got. Inside, the shop was chaos. Paper stacks teetering, ink splattered on floors, shelves coated in dust. Ifeoma groaned. Adaora, this place is a graveyard for roaches. Exactly, Adaora said, tying a scarf over her braids. We're not just cleaning. We're transforming. Get your phone ready. Ifeoma raised an eyebrow. For what? Before and after, Adaora said, already scrubbing a counter. People love a good story. We're giving them one. They worked for 6 hours, sweat soaking their shirts. Adaora scrubbed floors with a focus that bordered on obsession, while Ifeoma tackled shelves, muttering about crazy dreams. By evening, the shop gleamed, floors reflective, shelves organized, air fresh with lemon cleaner. Mr. Okon walked in, his jaw dropping. "This is my shop," he said, turning in a slow circle. "Adaora, you're a magician." "Not magic," she said, wiping her hands. "Just Shine Pro." Ifeoma uploaded the transformation video to Instagram, captioned, "Shine Pro Facilities, Turning Mess into Miracles." #CleanWithDignity. By morning, it had 500 views. By the next day, 2,000. Small business owners started calling. 2 barbershops, a bakery, a tailor. Adaora reinvested every kobo, buying a second mop and a used vacuum. She trained Ifeoma in her father's old techniques. How to make a floor shine, how to leave a client smiling. At their first paid job, a barbershop, the owner, Mr. Segan, watched them work. "You're different," he said. "Most cleaners just rush through. You care." Adaora smiled. "It's not just cleaning, sir. It's respect, for the space and the people in it." That night, she wrote in her journal, "First client, first step. Dignity in every drop." The viral video of Chuka's cruelty resurfaced, shared by a gossip blog with the caption, "Broom Girls Still Sweeping." Adaora saw it while scrolling on a bus, the words slicing through her. Comments mocked her dreams, her uniform, her fall. Chuka's friend Emeka commented, "A glorified housegirl, oh." Her stomach churned, but she didn't cry. She screenshotted the post, saving it next to Chuka's video. At the Shine Pro office, a corner of her apartment with a folding table, she and Ifeoma sorted invoices. Ifeoma noticed her silence. "You saw that nonsense online, didn't you?" Adaora nodded. "They're laughing again." "Let them," Ifeoma said, slamming a receipt down. "They're jobless idiots. You're building something." "Doesn't stop it from hurting," Adaora admitted, her voice low. "I thought I was past it." Ifeoma leaned forward, her eyes fierce. "You're not past it. You're above it. Those boys. They're stuck in uni, chasing likes. You're out here chasing legacy." Adaora managed a smile. "When did you get so wise?" "Since you dragged me into this crazy plan," Ifeoma said, grinning. "Now, what's next?" Adaora opened her laptop, pulling up a government entrepreneurship workshop she'd found. "We learn. We grow. They won't clap, so we build the stage." The workshop was in a stuffy community hall, filled with hopefuls like her, tailors, bakers, techies. The facilitator, a sharp woman named Mrs. Adaora, spoke about branding and funding. Adaora took furious notes, her pen flying. Afterward, she approached Mrs. Adaora, her heart pounding. "Ma, I run a cleaning business," she said. "Small, but growing. Any advice?" Mrs. Adaora studied her. "Cleaning's a tough market. What makes you different?" "Dignity," Adaora said without hesitation. "We don't just clean spaces. We lift people." The woman smiled. "That's your brand. Sell that, and you'll go far." That night, Adaora updated Shine Pro's Instagram bio, "Dignity in every drop." #ShinePro, she posted a photo of her and Ifeoma, mops in hand, smiling. The likes trickled in, but so did messages, "You're inspiring me to start my own thing. Keep shining, sister." She closed her laptop, her chest lighter. Chuka's laughter echoed, but it was distant now. She wasn't building for him. She was building for herself. The fluorescent light in Adaora's one-room apartment flickered, casting shadows on the cracked walls as she scrolled through her phone. Shine Pro Facilities was gaining traction. 5 clients, a growing Instagram following, and a second-hand vacuum cleaner that felt like a trophy. But tonight, the glow of progress dimmed. A notification popped up. A gossip blog had reposted Chuka's viral video, the one where he spat on her uniform. The caption read, "Broom girls still sweeping. Hashtag epic fail." Comments piled up, each one a jab. She's cleaning her way to nowhere. From scholar to scrubber, oh. Adaora's chest tightened. She'd thought she'd buried the shame, but it clawed back, raw and heavy. Her phone buzzed again, an email from a law firm, one of Shine Pro's biggest clients. "Dear Ms. Adaora, we regret to inform you that we're terminating our contract with Shine Pro Facilities. Recent online publicity has raised concerns about your brand's image. We wish you well." She stared at the screen, her hands trembling. The law firm's contract was worth 150,000 naira a month, half of Shine Pro's income. Losing it meant she couldn't pay Ifeoma or buy new supplies. She dropped the phone and pressed her palms to her eyes, willing herself not to cry. Ifeoma knocked, her voice muffled through the door. "Adaora, you alive in there?" Adaora opened the door, her face tight. Ifeoma, in a faded Ankara head wrap, took one look at her and frowned. "What's wrong? You look like someone stole your mop." "The law firm dropped us," Adaora said, her voice flat. "And that video's back. They're calling me a drama magnet." Ifeoma sucked her teeth, stepping inside. "Those vultures. They don't know you. You're building something real." "Real doesn't pay the bills," Adaora snapped, then softened. "Sorry. I thought we were past this." Ifeoma plopped onto the worn couch. "You're not past it. You're in it. That's how it works. People throw stones when you're climbing." Adaora paced, her bare feet slapping the concrete floor. "I can't lose everything I've built because of Chuka's stupid video." "Then don't," Ifeoma said, leaning forward. "You've got a voice. Use it. Tell your story before they twist it." Adaora stopped, her eyes drifting to her notebook on the table, its pages filled with dreams and plans. Ifeoma was right. She couldn't let Chuka's cruelty define her. She grabbed her phone, opened Instagram, and started recording. Her voice shook at first, but it grew steady. "My name is Adaora, and I'm not your hashtag broom girl. 2 years ago, I was studying to be a CEO. Life took that from me, but not my fight. Someone humiliated me, and the world laughed. But I'm still here, building Shine Pro, because shame doesn't get to write my story." She posted it, her heart pounding. "What if they laugh again?" she whispered. Ifeoma grinned. "Let them. They'll choke on it soon enough." By morning, Adaora's video had 10,000 views. By noon, 50,000. Comments flooded in, but this time they were different. "You're a queen. Keep rising, sister." A young woman messaged her, "I'm a cleaner too. Your video made me proud to wear my uniform." Adaora read it aloud to Ifeoma, her voice catching. "See," Ifeoma said, stirring a pot of egusi soup in Adaora's tiny kitchen. "You flipped their script. Now what?" "Now we keep going," Adaora said, her eyes bright. She checked her email, 3 new inquiries from small businesses. Then, a big one. A hospital in Ikeja wanted a quote for cleaning their wards. She drafted a proposal, her fingers flying over the keyboard. The hospital's budget was triple the law firm's. If she landed it, Shine Pro could hire more staff. At the hospital meeting, the facilities manager, Mrs. Okafor, a stern woman with silver braids, studied Adaora's proposal. "Your company's new," she said. "Why should I trust you?" Adaora met her gaze. "Because I know what it means to clean with care. My father was a janitor. He taught me that every mop stroke is a promise, to the client, to the workers, to myself." Mrs. Okafor's lips twitched, almost a smile. "Bold. I like that. We'll trial you for a month." Adaora left the meeting trembling with excitement. Back home, she and Ifeoma celebrated with a shared bottle of malt. "To Shine Pro," Ifeoma toasted, clinking her bottle against Adaora's. To dignity, Adaora corrected, her smile fierce. The hospital contract came through, and Adaora hired 3 new cleaners, 2 women and a man, all desperate for work. She trained them herself, teaching her father's techniques and her own mantra, dignity in every drop. Shine Pro's Instagram grew, with clients posting glowing reviews. A local journalist, Temi, contacted her for an interview. Over coffee at a roadside cafe, Temi leaned in, her recorder on. "Your story's blowing up," Temi said. "From bullied janitor to business owner. How do you feel?" Adaora sipped her coffee, choosing her words. "I feel like I'm just starting. The world saw me fall. Now they'll see me rise." Temi's article, "Janitor Becomes Business Owner Despite Bullying," went viral, shared across X and WhatsApp. Donations trickled in, 5,000 naira here, 10,000 there. Adaora used them to buy branded aprons for her team. But she kept her eyes on Chuka, still at Apex Tech, still clueless. She wasn't ready to face him. Not yet. Adaora's phone buzzed as she mopped a client's office, a small accounting firm in Yaba. It was an email from the Lagos Women in Business Summit, inviting her to speak. "Your story of resilience inspires us. We'd love for you to share it with 500 women entrepreneurs." She reread it, her heart racing. Public speaking? She'd never done it. But saying no wasn't an option. She told Ifeoma over lunch at Abuka, their plates piled with jollof rice. "They want me to talk at this big summit. Me, in front of 500 people." Ifeoma's eyes widened. "Adaora, that's huge. You're going to kill it. What if I freeze?" Adaora asked, poking at her rice. "I'm a cleaner, not a motivational speaker." "You're a fighter," Ifeoma said, pointing her spoon. "You've faced worse than a microphone. Tell them how you turned spit into shine." Adaora laughed, her nerves easing. She spent days preparing, scribbling her speech in her notebook. The night of the summit, she wore a tailored Ankara dress, her braids swept into an elegant updo. The auditorium buzzed with women in power suits and head wraps, their energy electric. Adaora's knees shook as she took the stage, the spotlight blinding. "Good evening," she began, her voice wavering. She gripped the podium, picturing her mother's frail hands, her father's proud smile. 2 years ago, I was mocked, spat on, and filmed for the world to laugh at. I was a janitor, grieving my father, caring for my sick mother. But I didn't break. I built. The room fell silent as she told her story, dropping out of university, mopping floors, starting Shine Pro. She ended with, "Success is the sweetest silence to mockery." The crowd erupted, standing, clapping, some wiping tears. Adaora's chest swelled, not with pride, but with purpose. Afterward, a woman in a sharp blazer approached. "I'm Funmi, with Pinnacle Properties. We manage 20 buildings in Lagos. We need a reliable cleaning contractor. Can we meet?" Adaora's breath caught. "Yes, ma'am. Any time." Funmi smiled. "Good. I like your fire." The meeting with Pinnacle Properties was in a sleek Victoria Island office, all glass and chrome. Adaora wore her only blazer, bought second-hand but ironed crisp. Funmi and 2 executives sat across a conference table, flipping through Shine Pro's proposal. Adaora's palms were sweaty, but her voice was steady as she pitched. "Shine Pro isn't just about clean floors," she said. "We're about trust, dignity, and excellence. Our team is trained to treat every space like their own home." Funmi nodded, her eyes sharp. "You're young. How do you handle big contracts?" "My father taught me that no job is small if it's done with care," Adaora said. "We've managed a hospital with 50 wards. We can handle your buildings." The executives exchanged glances. Funmi leaned forward. "We're signing a 12-month contract, 37 buildings. Can you scale up?" Adaora's heart leapt, but she kept her face calm. "Yes, ma'am. We'll be ready." The contract was worth millions. Adaora rented a small office in Yaba, no longer a corner of her apartment. She bought 2 branded vans and hired 10 more cleaners, training them herself. ShinePro's Instagram exploded with photos of gleaming offices and smiling staff. A magazine, Lagos Business Weekly, featured her, the woman who cleaned her way to millions. At the office, Ifeoma hung the article on the wall. "Look at you, superstar," she teased. Adaora shook her head. "It's not about me. It's about us, all of us who've been looked down on." Ifeoma smirked. "Still, you're making Chuka eat his words without saying a word." Adaora's smile was small but sharp. "Oh, he'll hear me soon." Adaora sat at her desk, a modest wooden table in ShinePro's new office, reviewing resumes for an expansion phase. The hospital and Pinnacle contracts had stretched her team thin, and they needed more hands. Ifeoma, now her operations manager, handed her a shortlist. "We've got interviews tomorrow. Good candidates, but one name stood out." Adaora glanced at the list, her eyes catching on Chuka Obi. Her pulse quickened. "Chuka? Our Chuka?" Ifeoma nodded, her grin wicked. "Laid off from Apex Tech. Downsizing, they say." He applied for a supervisor role. Adaora leaned back, her mind racing. She pictured Chuka's smirk, his spit hitting her uniform, the video that haunted her. Now he was here, begging for a job from the woman he'd mocked. It wasn't revenge she felt, it was clarity. "Invite him," she said, her voice calm. "And tell him to wear a suit." Ifeoma raised an eyebrow. "You sure? You don't have to face him." "I'm sure," Adaora said, her eyes hard. "He needs to see what I've built." The next morning, Chuka arrived at ShinePro's office, a squat building with a fresh ShinePro Facilities sign. Adaora watched him on CCTV, straightening his tie, looking nervous. He didn't know she was the CEO. He didn't know she held his future in her hands. She sat behind a smoked glass partition in the boardroom, her blazer sharp, her notebook open. Ifeoma led Chuka in. His eyes scanned the room, then locked on her. His face paled, his mouth opening slightly. Adaora didn't flinch. "Mr. Obi," she said, her voice cool as glass. "Why do you think you're a good fit for our company?" The air in ShinePro's boardroom was thick with tension, the kind that hums like a taut wire. Adaora sat at the head of the table, her blazer crisp, her notebook open, her face a mask of calm. Behind the smoked glass partition, she'd watched Chuka Obi walk into her office, his tie slightly crooked, his confident stride faltering as he took in the ShinePro Facilities logo on the wall. He didn't know she was the CEO. He didn't know she held his fate in her hands. Ifeoma, now ShinePro's operations manager, led him into the boardroom. Chuka's eyes scanned the room, then locked on Adaora. His face drained of color, his mouth parting as recognition hit. "Adaora," he stammered, his voice barely above a whisper. "Mr. Obi," she said, her tone cool as polished steel, "please take a seat. Why do you think you're a good fit for our company?" Chuka sank into the chair, his hands fidgeting with his tie. I didn't know you," he trailed off, swallowing hard. "I mean, I have experience in HR, team management, and—" "Experience," Adaora cut in, leaning forward slightly. "Tell me about a time you showed respect for a colleague, especially one in a role you might consider beneath you." The question landed like a stone. Chuka's jaw tightened, his eyes darting to Ifeoma, who stood by the door, arms crossed, her expression unreadable. "I've always been professional," he said, his voice thin. "At Apex Tech, I managed teams, ensured compliance." "Professional," Adaora repeated, her gaze unwavering. "Interesting word. Does professionalism include mocking someone's job? Filming them? Spitting on their uniform?" Chuka's face reddened, his hands gripping the chair arms. "That was a mistake. I was young, stupid. I'm not that guy anymore." Adaora tilted her head, her smile faint but sharp. "A mistake. That's what you call it. I'm sorry, okay?" Chuka's voice cracked, desperation creeping in. "I was going through stuff. I didn't mean to hurt you. The room fell silent, the hum of the air conditioner deafening. Adaora leaned back, her fingers tracing the edge of her notebook. She saw the lobby again, his smirk, the spit, the laughter echoing online. But she also saw her mother's frail hands, her father's proud smile, the Shine Pro vans parked outside. This wasn't about revenge. It was about power, hers, earned through sweat and resilience. "Thank you for coming in, Mr. Obi," she said, standing. "We'll get back to you." Chuka blinked, confused. That's it, she said, nodding to Ifeoma, who opened the door. Chuka stood, his shoulders slumped, and walked out, glancing back once as if expecting her to say more. She didn't. Ifeoma closed the door, her grin wide. "You handled that like a boss." He looked like he saw a ghost. Adaora exhaled, her calm facade cracking. "I wanted to yell, Ifeoma. I wanted to make him feel small." "But you didn't," Ifeoma said, squeezing her shoulder. "You showed him who's bigger." That evening, Adaora sat alone in Shine Pro's office, the city's lights glittering through the window. Her laptop glowed with Chuka's resume, his photo staring back, smirking, confident, the Chuka who'd mocked her. She opened a new document and began typing the rejection letter, her fingers steady. "Dear Mr. Obi, thank you for applying to Shine Pro facilities. After careful consideration, we have decided not to move forward with your application. Reasons: lack of humility, poor emotional intelligence, not a cultural fit." She paused, her cursor blinking. She could write more, call out his cruelty, his entitlement. But that would be giving him power. Instead, she signed it, Adaora Nwankwo, CEO, Shine Pro Facilities. She clicked send, the email whooshing into the ether. Leaning back, she closed her eyes, picturing the lobby, the spit, the viral video. The shame had fueled her, but this moment wasn't about settling scores. It was about closing a chapter. She breathed deeply, the weight lifting. Her phone buzzed, a text from Ifeoma. "You sent it." "Done," Adaora replied, adding a fist bump emoji. Ifeoma called immediately. "How do you feel, CEO?" Adaora laughed, the sound light. "Like I just cleaned a really stubborn stain." "Good," Ifeoma said. "Now let's get some suya to celebrate." They met at a roadside suya spot, the air thick with the scent of grilled meat and charcoal. Over skewers, Ifeoma raised her malt bottle. To Justice, served cold. Adaora clinked her bottle against Ifeoma's. To Growth, served steady. A young woman at the next table leaned over, her eyes wide. "Are you Adaora from Shine Pro? I saw your video on Instagram. You're amazing." Adaora smiled, surprised. "Thank you. Just doing what I love." The woman grinned. "You're making us cleaners proud." As Adaora walked home, her phone buzzed with notifications. More messages, more likes. Her story was spreading, and Chuka's rejection was just the beginning. The news broke like a Lagos rainstorm, sudden and relentless. A blogger on X posted, "Broom Girl's Revenge. CEO rejects bully's job application." The story spread, picked up by local news sites, then national ones. Channels TV called for an interview. Adaora's inbox overflowed with requests, podcasts, blogs, even a documentary filmmaker. But she stayed quiet, letting the world talk. At Shine Pro's office, Ifeoma scrolled through X, reading headlines aloud. "Listen to this, from janitor to justice, how Adaora turned shame into success." "You're a legend, Adaora." "I'm not a legend," Adaora said, sorting invoices. "I'm just me." "Yeah, well, just you is trending," Ifeoma teased, tossing her a bottle of water. "You gonna do that TV interview?" Adaora hesitated. "I don't want to gloat. That's not who I am." "Then don't," Ifeoma said. "Tell the truth. People need to hear it." Adaora drafted a statement, her words careful. People change. But sometimes, they must learn the hard way. Shine Pro is about dignity, not drama. We build, not break. She posted it on Instagram, and it went viral, shared by women's groups, youth activists, and even a Nollywood star. Comments poured in, "You're my hero. This is what winning looks like." At a team meeting, her cleaners, now 15 strong, clapped as she walked in. Fatakimi, a shy single mother, spoke up. "Ma, I saw the news. You showed that man what we're worth." Adaora smiled, her throat tight. "We show that every day, Fatakimi. Every floor we clean, every client we serve." Later, Temi, the journalist who'd written her first viral article, called, "Adaora, this story's global now. BBC wants you. You ready for the big leagues?" Adaora laughed, nervous. "I'm just trying to keep my vans running, Temi." "And you're doing it," Temi said. "But the world's watching. Don't hide your light." Adaora hung up, her mind spinning. She wasn't chasing fame, but it was chasing her. And somewhere, Chuka was reading the headlines, his world shrinking as hers expanded. The studio lights of Lagos talks burned hot, but Adaora sat coolly in her Ankara dress, her hands folded. The host, Chioma, leaned forward, her voice warm. "Welcome to From Spit to Spotlight. Adaora Nwankwo, you've turned humiliation into a movement. Tell us how." Adaora took a breath, the camera's red light steady. "It started with pain," she said. "A man mocked me, spat on me, and the world laughed. But I didn't stay down. I built Shine Pro because I believe every job deserves dignity. That's my fight, not against him, but for everyone like me." The audience applauded, some wiping tears. Chioma nodded. "You rejected his job application. Was that revenge?" "No," Adaora said firmly. "It was accountability. Shine Pro hires people who respect others. He didn't fit." After the show, social media exploded. X posts read, "Adaora is goals." Hashtag From Spit to Spotlight, viewers shared their own stories of bullying, tagging her as inspiration. Backstage, Chioma hugged her. "You're changing lives, Adaora. Keep going." Inspired, Adaora launched Bright Work, a non-profit to train vulnerable youth in cleaning and entrepreneurship. At the first workshop, she stood before 20 young women, their eyes hopeful. "You're not your job," she told them. "You're your purpose. Let's build it together." One trainee, Blessing, approached her after. "Ma, I was ashamed to be a cleaner. You made me see it's a start, not an end." Adaora squeezed her hand. "It's my start too, Blessing. We rise together." That night, Adaora checked Brightwork's new Instagram page. A message from a donor read, "Your story saved my daughter from giving up. Thank you." She smiled, her heart full. Chuka's spit had sparked a movement. Adaora stood in the doorway of a modest house in a quiet Lekki estate, the keys still warm in her hand. She'd bought it with Shine Pro's profits, a haven for her mother, Neka, whose coughs had worsened in their old Surulere apartment. The living room smelled of fresh paint, the windows letting in soft light. Neka sat in a new armchair, her eyes wide. "You did this?" Neka asked, her voice frail but awed. "My Adaora, a whole house?" "For you, Mama," Adaora said, kneeling beside her. "No more damp walls. No more noise." Neka's eyes glistened, her hand cupping Adaora's cheek. "You did well, my daughter. Your father would be proud." Adaora's throat tightened. She saw her father's face, his calloused hands, his laughter as he taught her to mop. She saw the lobby, the spit, the viral video. Every step had led here. "I kept going because of you," she whispered. Neka smiled, a rare, full smile. "And because of you, Adaora. You turned their shame into your strength." They sat in silence, the weight of years lifting. Later, Adaora stood on the balcony, the city sprawling below. Her phone buzzed, a message from Ifeoma. "Mama's house is stunning. You're unstoppable." Adaora typed back, Not unstoppable. Just unbroken. She looked at the stars, her notebook tucked in her bag. The world was watching, but this moment, her mother's smile, was her true victory. The late afternoon sun cast long shadows across ShinePro's modest Yaba office, its ShinePro facilities sign gleaming above the door. Adaora sat at her desk, reviewing payroll for her 15 cleaners, when Ifeoma burst in, her eyes wide. "You won't believe this. Chuka's outside. Been standing there for hours." Adaora's pen froze mid-signature. "Chuka? What does he want?" Ifeoma crossed her arms, her Ankara head wrap catching the light. "Looks like a man who's eaten his pride. Security says he's asking to see you." Adaora leaned back, her mind flashing to the boardroom, Chuka's pale face, his stammered apology. She'd sent his rejection letter 2 weeks ago, and the media storm had followed, painting her as a hero. Now he was here, uninvited. She opened the CCTV feed on her laptop. There he was, in a worn gray suit, pacing outside, his shoulders hunched. The man who'd spat on her uniform looked small, diminished. "Should I send him away?" Ifeoma asked, her tone sharp. "He doesn't get to waltz back after what he did." Adaora shook her head, her voice steady. "Let him wait a bit longer. I need to think." She turned to her notebook, its pages filled with ShinePro's plans, new contracts, training programs, a second van. Chuka's presence was a ripple in her ocean, but ripples could still unsettle. Her phone buzzed with an email from him, sent an hour ago. "Adaora, I know I don't deserve your time. I was wrong. I'm jobless, broke, and I've changed. Please, can we talk?" She read it twice, her jaw tight. Part of her wanted to confront him, to make him feel the weight of his actions. But another part, the part that had built ShinePro from spit and shame, knew better. She typed a letter she'd never send. "Some stains don't come out with water. I forgive you, but you can't work here." She saved it to her drafts and closed her laptop. "Tell security to let him go," she told Ifeoma. "I'm not seeing him today." Ifeoma raised an eyebrow. "You sure? You could rub his nose in it." Adaora smiled faintly. "I don't need to. My life's doing that for me." That night, she walked home through Lagos' bustling streets, the air thick with car horns and roasted corn. Her phone buzzed again, a message from Fatakimi, one of her cleaners. "Ma, saw you on TV. You're our hero." Adaora's heart warmed. Chuka's begging couldn't touch that. The invitation came on a Monday morning, slipped into Adaora's inbox like a golden ticket. "Join us for a networking brunch hosted by Mr. Depo Afolabi, CEO of Afolabi Ventures. We're impressed by ShinePro's story and want to meet." Depo Afolabi was one of Nigeria's youngest billionaires, a tech mogul whose name graced Lagos billboards. Adaora stared at the email, her coffee growing cold. She called Ifeoma, who was supervising a cleaning job at a bank. "Depo Afolabi wants me at his brunch. Me, Ifeoma." Ifeoma's laugh crackled through the phone. "Girl, you're rubbing shoulders with billionaires now? Wear that red Ankara dress. You'll kill it. What if I say the wrong thing?" Adaora asked, pacing her office. "These are big people. I'm just—" "Don't you dare say, just," Ifeoma cut in. "You're Adaora Nwankwo, CEO. Own it." The brunch was at a rooftop restaurant in Victoria Island, all glass tables and waiters in bow ties. Adaora arrived in her red Ankara, her braids swept into a bun. The room buzzed with Lagos elite, tech founders, bankers, a Nollywood actress. Depo Afolabi, tall and sharp in a tailored suit, greeted her with a warm smile. "Ms. Nwankwo," he said, shaking her hand. "Your story's inspiring. From janitor to CEO in 2 years? That's grit." Adaora smiled, her nerves easing. "Thank you, sir. I just saw a gap and filled it." They sat at a table overlooking the lagoon, plates of moi and prawns before them. Depo leaned forward, his eyes keen. "ShinePro's doing well in Lagos. Ever thought about franchising across Africa?" Adaora's fork paused mid-air. Africa? I've been focused on keeping my vans running. He chuckled. Think bigger. Cleaning's a universal need. With your brand, dignity, resilience, you could dominate the continent. She sipped her juice, her mind racing. Franchising meant capital, logistics, training. But it also meant jobs, impact, legacy. What would it take? She asked. Partners, Depo said. Investors like me. I'd back you, but you'd need a solid plan. That night, Adaora opened her notebook, her pen flying. She wrote, expand, empower, evolve. She called Ifeoma, her voice buzzing. Ifeoma, we're going big. Africa big. Ifeoma hooped. That's my CEO. What's the plan? Franchising, Adaora said. But first we learn. I'm not stopping at Lagos. The Shine Pro Academy opened in a renovated warehouse in Ikeja, its walls painted bright blue with dignity in every drop stenciled above the entrance. Adaora had funded it with her savings and donations from her viral story, turning a dusty space into a training hub for vulnerable youth. On opening day, 120 young women crowded the room, their faces a mix of hope and skepticism. Many were single mothers, dropouts, or former domestic workers, women the world had overlooked. Adaora stood at a podium, her heart pounding. She wore a simple blouse, her old cleaning apron draped over her arm. Welcome to Shine Pro Academy, she began, her voice steady. This place is built from tears, sweat, and spit. I was you, mocked, underestimated, cleaning floors to survive. But I learned something, a mop isn't just a tool. It's a ladder. Today, we're climbing together. The women clapped, some wiping tears. Adaora outlined the program. Free training in professional cleaning, customer service, and business basics. You'll leave here with skills, a job, or a plan to start your own company, she said. This isn't charity. It's power. After, she mingled with the trainees. A young woman, Chioma, approached, her eyes shy. Ma, I dropped out of school to sell groundnuts. Can I really do this? Adaora smiled, handing her a Shine Pro apron. I was a janitor with a sick mother. If I can, you can. Start where you are. Chioma clutched the apron, her voice thick. Thank you, Ma. I won't let you down. Later, Ifeoma pulled Adaora aside, grinning. You're giving these girls wings, Adaora. This is bigger than Shine Pro. It's what I wished someone did for me, Adaora said, her eyes on the trainees. No one should feel small for their work. That night, she posted a video of the Academy's opening on Instagram, captioned, From Shame to Strength. Hashtag Shine Pro Academy. Comments flooded in, You're changing lives. This is what leadership looks like. Adaora read them in bed, her mother's coughs quieter in their new Lekki home. The Academy was her heart's work, proof that pain could build something beautiful. Adaora was cleaning her office. Old habits died hard, when her phone buzzed with a call from Temi, the journalist who'd written her first viral article. Adaora, you got a minute? It's about Chuka. Adaora paused, her rag mid-swipe. What about him? He's in a bad place, Temi said. I heard from a mutual friend. Jobless, couch surfing, struggling with depression. Thought you should know. Adaora set the rag down, her chest oddly still. She waited for anger, pity, satisfaction, anything. But nothing came. Thanks for telling me, she said. I hope he gets help. Temi hesitated. You're not happy he's down? No, Adaora said, her voice firm. I'm grateful I'm not where he left me. That's enough. She hung up, staring out the window at Lagos skyline. Chuka's fall wasn't her victory. Her rise was. Still, the news lingered. She remembered his email, his pleading figure outside her office. He was broken, but so had she been. The difference was, she'd rebuilt. At a team meeting, Fatakimi raised her hand. Ma, I saw online that the man who You know, he's struggling. Did you know? Adaora nodded, choosing her words. I heard. But we don't build by tearing others down. We lift up. Fatakimi frowned. But he hurt you. Don't you want him to suffer? Suffering doesn't clean stains, Adaora said. It just spreads them. Let's focus on our work. Later, she donated 50,000 naira anonymously to a mental health NGO for unemployed men. Not for Chuka, but for the principle, no one should be so broken they break others. She told Ifeoma over dinner at their favorite buka, the air thick with pepper soup steam. You're too good, Ifeoma said, shaking her head. I'd have let him stew. Adaora sipped her malt. I'm not good. I'm free. That's better. Ifeoma grinned. Free looks good on you, CEO. Adaora laughed, her heart light. Chuka's collapse was his story. Hers was still rising. The BBC Africa studio in Lagos was a world away from the dusty floors Adaora once mopped. The set was sleek, with soft lighting and a backdrop of the city's skyline. Adaora sat in a cushioned chair, her tailored Ankara dress vibrant against the neutral tones. Her hands, once calloused from mopping, were folded calmly, though her heart raced. The camera's red light blinked, and the host, Amaka, a poised woman with a British-Nigerian accent, leaned forward. Welcome to BBC Africa Spotlight, Amaka began, her smile warm. Adaora Nwankwo, you've gone from a viral video of humiliation to building Shine Pro facilities, a cleaning empire. Your story's inspiring millions. Take us back to that day in the lobby. Adaora took a breath, the memory sharp but no longer cutting. It was raining, she said, her voice steady. I was mopping at Apex Tech, just trying to get through the day. A former classmate, someone I trusted once, mocked me, spat on my uniform, and filmed it. The video went viral with hashtags like #broomgirl. It hurt. But it also woke me up. Amaka nodded, her eyes empathetic. That could have broken anyone. What kept you going? My mother, Adaora said, her voice softening. She was sick, and I was all she had. And my father, he was a janitor too. He taught me that no work is small if it's done with pride. I decided to turn their laughter into my ladder. The audience, a small live crowd, clapped softly. Amaka leaned closer. You rejected that classmate's job application years later. Was that the moment of triumph? Adaora shook her head. Triumph wasn't rejecting him. It was building Shine Pro, hiring women like me, creating the Shine Pro Academy. Triumph is every floor we clean with dignity. The interview aired globally, and social media erupted. X-posts read, Adaora's story is fire. From Spit to CEO. #ShinePro, clients from South Africa, Ghana, and the UK emailed, asking about franchising. At Shine Pro's office, Ifeoma played the interview on her phone, grinning. You're global now, Adaora. BBC. What's next, CNN? Adaora laughed, sorting contracts. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We've got a hospital to clean tomorrow. Ifeoma nudged her. Come on, you're a star. Feel it a little. I feel it, Adaora admitted, her smile soft. But I'm not done building. Later, a South African property firm called. We saw you on BBC, the manager said. We want Shine Pro in Johannesburg. Can you meet next week? Adaora's heart leapt. Yes, sir. We'll be ready. She hung up, her mind spinning. Africa was calling, just as Depo Afolabi had predicted. She opened her notebook, adding a new goal, Shine Pro, Continental Clean. The email from Forbes Africa arrived on a quiet Tuesday, its subject line bold, Congratulations, Forbes Africa 30 under 30. Adaora read it 3 times, her coffee forgotten. She'd been named in the social impact and business category, with a headline that made her laugh. She mopped floors. Now she mops the competition. The article detailed her journey, university dropout, janitor, CEO, and praised Shine Pro's model of dignity-driven cleaning. Ifeoma burst into the office, waving her phone. Forbes, Adaora. You're officially a big deal. Adaora shook her head, grinning. It's just a list, Ifeoma. Just a list. Ifeoma scoffed, pinning the article to the office wall. This is proof you're untouchable. The recognition brought invitations, youth conferences in Nairobi, a summit in Accra, a TEDx talk in Lagos. But Adaora stayed grounded. Every Friday, she joined her team to clean a client's office, mopping alongside Fatakimi and Blessing. Keeps me honest, she told them when they protested. One evening, as they cleaned a bank's marble floors, Fatakimi spoke up. Ma, I saw you in Forbes. Why do you still mop with us? Adaora paused, her mop dripping. Because this is where I started. If I forget the floor, I forget who I am. Blessing, wiping a counter, nodded. You make us feel like we matter. You do, Adaora said, her voice firm. Every one of you. At a Nairobi conference, she spoke to 1,000 students, her voice echoing. They called me broom girl to shame me. I made it my crown. Your pain can be your power if you choose it. The crowd roared, and organizers offered her a book deal. She declined, for now. I'm still writing my story, she told Ifeoma later. Ifeoma smirked. You're writing a whole library, Adaora. The National Women's Empowerment Summit was held in a glittering Abuja banquet hall, its chandeliers casting light on Nigeria's most influential women. Adaora sat at a table near the stage, her navy gown elegant but understated. She clutched her old cleaning uniform, neatly folded, a reminder of her roots. When her name was called for the Lifetime Achievement Award in Entrepreneurship, the room erupted. The president of the federation, a regal woman in gold geli, presented the plaque. Adaora Nwankwo turned insult into industry, she said. She's a beacon for women everywhere. Adaora took the stage, her throat tight. She held up the uniform, her voice clear. I keep this not to remember who I was, but to remind myself that dignity is never defined by the dirt you stand in. I was spat on, mocked, filmed. But I built Shine Pro, hired women others ignored, and started an academy to lift them up. This award isn't just mine, it's ours. The audience stood, clapping, some crying. Backstage, a young entrepreneur, Tolu, approached her. I'm starting a bakery, she said, her eyes bright. Your story gave me courage. Any advice? Adaora smiled. Believe in your work, Tolu. Even when they don't clap, keep baking. Tolu hugged her, tears falling. Thank you, Ma. At the office, Ifeoma hung the plaque next to the Forbes article. You're collecting trophies now, she teased. Adaora laughed. The real trophy is our team. Let's hire 5 more cleaners next week. It was past midnight when Adaora's phone pinged, the office quiet save for the hum of her laptop. An email from an unfamiliar address, subject, from Chuka's sister. Her heart skipped. She opened it, her eyes scanning the words. You don't know me, but I'm Chuka's sister, Amara. Thank you for not destroying him when you could. He's in therapy now, regrets everything. He's learning. You changed his life, even in rejection. Adaora leaned back, exhaling. She saw Chuka's face, his smirk in the lobby, his desperation outside her office. She felt no joy, no anger, just a quiet release. She didn't reply. Some stories didn't need her words. The next day, she told Ifeoma over lunch at their favorite buka, the air thick with egusi steam. Chuka's sister emailed me. He's in therapy, trying to change. Ifeoma's spoon paused. And, you're not going soft on him, are you? No, Adaora said, sipping her malt. But I'm done carrying him. His story's his. Mine's bigger. Ifeoma nodded, her eyes softening. You're too wise for your age, you know that? Adaora laughed. Blame my mother. She taught me to let go. At a team meeting, Fatakimi asked about the email, having heard rumors. Ma, Did you forgive him? Adaora considered her words. Forgiveness isn't permission. I let go for me, not him. We keep moving forward. The team nodded, their respect for her deepening. Adaora closed her laptop that night, the email still unanswered. She didn't need to reopen that chapter. Fatakimi's wedding was in a vibrant Lagos church, its pews packed with family and friends in colorful asoebi. Adaora arrived in a flowing emerald gown, her presence drawing whispers. Fatakimi, radiant in white, spotted her and rushed over, her veil trailing. "Ma, you came. Wouldn't miss it," Adaora said, hugging her. "You're glowing." Fatakimi's eyes shone. "You gave me a life, Ma. Shine Pro paid for my training, my job, this wedding. I want everyone to know." At the reception, Fatakimi took the microphone, her voice trembling. "I was a cleaner, ashamed of my work. Then I met Adaora Nwankwo, who showed me dignity in every drop. She's why I'm here." The crowd cheered, turning to Adaora. She smiled, her cheeks warm. A guest, an older woman in geli, approached. "You're the Shine Pro lady? My daughter wants to join your academy." "Send her," Adaora said. "We're always looking for fighters." Later, Ifeoma nudged her, grinning. "You're stealing the bride's spotlight." Adaora laughed. "She's the star. I'm just proud." Fatakimi's husband, a quiet teacher, thanked her privately. "You gave her confidence. How do you choose who to hire?" Adaora's eyes softened. "I look for people who've eaten shame and still showed up the next day." He nodded, moved. "You're a blessing, Ma." Adaora sat at her desk, the manuscript for her memoir, washed in grace, open on her laptop. Shine Pro now had 213 staff across Nigeria, Ghana, and South Africa, with franchises in talks for Kenya. Billboards in Lagos bore her face, not as a brand but a symbol, Shine Pro, dignity in every drop. She typed the final chapter, her words flowing. "I could have fought back with fire," she wrote, "but I chose foundation. The ground where you were humiliated can become the ground where you build an empire. Don't aim to prove them wrong. Aim to prove yourself right." She saved the document, her heart full. Ifeoma called, her voice excited. "The memoir's done? Publishers are fighting for it." Adaora laughed. "Let them fight. I'm not rushing." "You're a movement, Adaora," Ifeoma said. "From spit to billboards. How does it feel?" "Like I'm just starting," Adaora said, looking at her notebook, its pages worn but alive. "This isn't the end." At a Shine Pro staff party, her team surprised her with a cake shaped like a mop. Blessing read a speech. "Ma, you showed us we're more than our jobs. Thank you for building us up." Adaora cut the cake, her eyes misty. "You built this too," she said. "Every one of you." As the party danced into the night, Adaora stepped outside, the Lagos stars bright above. Chuka's spit was a distant memory, its sting replaced by purpose. Her story wasn't about him. It was about her, her team, her mother, her father's legacy. She whispered to the sky, "I proved myself right."